As mentioned in previous presentations, we have three virtual environments that we're working with, starting with our forest scene, and then we also have our desert scene and cityscape, which is our most difficult environment. So future modifications to these environments include adding turns to both the desert scene and the cityscape, and we also are looking forward to add oscillations and wobbling to all the environments. The reason we're doing this is because we want to see how well the patient can control and manipulate their movement versus what they're seeing on the screen, meaning that we want to see if the patient can keep going even if what they're seeing on the screen is different. And this will be helpful in patient evaluation and their performance and progress in the rehabilitation process. Moving on to testing. Our first test was the virtual environment synchronization test. So the goal of this test was to assess the system's ability to synchronize the treadmill speed with the virtual environment speed across various speeds and distances traveled by the patient. And it was also important to ensure consistent alignment between the data gathered from the treadmill and the virtual environment to obtain the most immersiveness of the environments. And we had a 5% tolerance acceptance criteria, and this was all important to enhance the realism in the experience of the virtual environment, especially for the rehabilitation experience for the patient. So this is the setup for the test. Over here on the left, we have the Unity setup, where we're showing how we input the speed and other settings into the program. And on the right, we have the treadmill setup, where we can see the data gathered from the treadmill. In the Unity setup, we can see how once we input the specific speed that we need, and once we get the program started and running, here you will see the distance traveled in miles. It will be displayed as well as the time elapsed since the program started running. Over here on the right, we can also see the time in seconds and the distance traveled also in miles and the speed chosen. So how we ran this test is that we chose 3 different speeds and ran 3 trials per speed. Basically, we chose speeds 2, 4, and 6 miles per hour. And so for each trial, we started both programs at the same time and chose random points in time where we stop both of them at the same time. Once we get that, we compare the data gathered from here, the Unity, and the data gathered from the treadmill. So for example, let's say here, this was the distance traveled, and we got it from Unity, and we got distance traveled from the treadmill, and we compared both of them, as well as the time. And based on that difference, we assess the synchronization of the virtual environment with the treadmill.